What is up everyone, Hero276 here, and welcome to today's video, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the thumbnail, we are featuring Magcargo in the Open Great League, so have fun looking at this absolute spice pick. We pick up an ideal lead against Celebi, and now my Magcargo is running Stone Edge instead of Rock Tomb. Just think it does better damage. And speaking of damage, prepare your headphones, ladies and gentlemen. Overheat, boom! Takes out the Shadow Sableye, and in the back is a Wigglytuff, and we blind swap Venusaur to clear the debuff. So essentially, this game is over. So Venusaur going for Frenzy Plant after Frenzy Plant, looking to get some shields here from this Wigglytuff. And Frenzy Plant's just such a hard-hitting move that even though Sludge Bomb is the better move to go, Frenzy Plant would still be threatening massive damage. So of course my opponent has to shield it. Now here we go for the Sludge Bomb. I wasn't aware of my Wigglytuff's health, so that's a bit of a mistake on my part. I should have just gone straight Frenzy Plant. Anyways, it doesn't matter in the end because we will be able to get to the Sludge Bomb thanks to Magical Leaf being double resisted. So Sludge Bomb is going to take out the Celebi, and that is going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's move right into the next battle. Hopping into the next match, and we pick up a lead against Skarmory. Now Skarmory is running Steel Wing, which does neutral, but either way it's still a good lead for us. My opponent safe switches into a Sableye, and we get Venusaur in the match, and Venusaur is going to be doing heavy neutral damage with these Frenzy Plants, so my opponent is going to shield to respect it. And at this rate, Foul Play will not KO, but I'm almost convinced they're going to return me, so I shield, and it is in fact the return, so a good shield on my part. And the Sableye has wasted a ton of energy, so we're going to be able to get to 2 Frenzy Plants before my opponent can get to the back-to-back foul plays. So I sneak the Vine Whip through, and of course I'm going to shield here. I actually look to go for the Frenzy Plant as soon as I get it, but that proves to be a mistake as my opponent catches onto Skarmory. Now, this actually isn't so bad for me because now I could just bring in Magcargo and look to go all the way up to 100 energy without fearing any of the charge moves. So I'm going to go all the way up to 100 energy, and I get to the Stone Edge here, and Stone Edge will KO the Skarmory from this range. So Skarmory is gone. Let's see what's in the back. And one moment. Oh, okay, it's going to be a Digger's Bay. Now, normally this is a little bit scary, but we're ahead on energy, so Overheat's going to do some massive damage to this Digger's Bay. Now, I'm going to keep farming up energy because my opponent is deciding not to throw. And at this rate, if they Fire Punch me, I can actually survive and get off another Overheat. Now, actually, I should have come in with one of my Grass types and looked to get ahead on energy and banked the Overheat for later. But this is still a good play. You know, we come in with Venusaur. Sableye is going to get to a move here and trigger the CMP, which is very unfortunate. But we still have a perfectly healthy Meganium in the back. So in the end, banking the Overheat didn't really matter that much. In hindsight, though, if the Meganium, was fainted, I probably should have, but, because the Meganium was healthy, it didn't really matter in the end. So this is going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Frenzy Plant here is going to take out the Sableye. So there we go. Let's hop right into the next match. Hopping into game number 3, and we pick up a lead against Altaria. Now, despite being a flying type, Altaria is also part dragon, meaning the Incinerates are going to be resisted. So this is not a great matchup for us. We will be resisting the Sky attacks though, which is pretty nice. And we do win the CMP against Altaria as well, which is also very nice. Sky attack, not going to be doing too much damage right there. We're going to look to get to the second Stone Edge and throw it as soon as we get there. But unfortunately, my opponent catches onto Azumarill. And this is really bad because now my Magcargo is energy dry. So now I need to come in with Venusaur and look to get to 100 energy, since Venusaur is my only shot at, taking out the Altaria, as long as it has energy. Because remember, Sludge Bomb deals neutral damage. So I'm going to look to farm all the way down here with Venusaur. I didn't think that I'd be able to do it, so I throw the Frenzy Plant, so I didn't have to expend 2 shields. But the Azumarill actually expends their second shield, so at this point this is fine for me. I'm just going to let the Ice Beam go through. It's going to near take me out, but at this point, I kind of have to preserve a shield. So, at this rate, Sludge Bomb lands on the Altaria, but it doesn't do nearly as much damage as I thought it was. And suddenly, I start to realize that shielding would have been advantageous for me. So I probably should have looked to shield, so I didn't have to shield the Meganium. This game is more than likely over. Frenzy Plant will not be KOing from this range since it's double resisted. And yeah, this one's over. So we're just going to let Altaria get to the Sky Attack, take us out, and we're going to get Dragon Breath down. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not quite over just yet. Forgot about this part. They have an Ariados in the back, and it's so bittersweet because Magcargo has such an excellent matchup against this Ariados, and Meganium does not. So this is going to be a good game. You can't win them all. Let's hop right into the next match. Alright, we're in Game 4, and we pick up an excellent lead against Skarmory. Skarmory is the lead that you want to see, particularly because all the flying moves are resisted. We deal super effective with the Incinerates and Overheats, and neutral with the Stone Edge. And as you can see, I decide to go for the Stone Edge, because Overheat would be overkill, and Stone Edge actually enables us to farm all the way down with Incinerate and get ahead on energy, which is very nice and going to be very useful endgame. So, Machamp comes in, I build up to the Overheat, and I swap in Venusaur, and my opponent has Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So we're going to go for Frenzy Plants right here. Frenzy Plant's going to chunk. My opponent doesn't have to shield the first one, and they actually elect to let that one go through. I'm going to no-shield myself and call the Rock Slide bait, and it is just a Rock Slide, so good no-shield on my part. We get to the Frenzy Plant, and Frenzy Plant will get my opponent's first shield, because Frenzy Plant would be taking out my opponent from this range if they just elected to let it go through. I actually snuck a Vine Whip through, so I am actually perfectly content shielding this if I undertap correctly, which I did, and I'll be able to fire off the Frenzy Plant before going down. So that gets a shield. My opponent comes in with Machamp, and I accidentally overtap, but luckily we're able to survive the counters and reach the Overheat in time. Boom! Takes out the Machamp, and it's just Galarian Stunfisk in the back, and we have a perfectly healthy Meganium with a shield, and my opponent surrenders, so that's a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Alright, so game number 5, and we pick up a lead against a Santa Hat Raichu. Very spicy. We're going to swap into Venusaur because we have 2 better counters, and well, what do you know, we're met with Galarian Slowking. Now, Galarian Slowking is actually a very spicy pick. If you remember our Love Cup videos back from February, you know just how spicy this thing is. So, really cool to see it here. However, we will be able to get to the Frenzy Plant, and this will get a shield. So, now we have shield advantage. We're going to come in with Magcargo. We sneak and Incinerate through, which is very good. We're going to shield once on the Shadow Ball, and just look to Incinerate all the way down. So, we're going to leave with almost 100 energy by the time we're done farming down. I anticipate the Raichu coming back in, so we swap in Meganium, and there's a Bite, Alolan Raticate in the back, and Alolan Raticate will not be able to get our second shield before we get to multiple Frenzy Plants, so this is looking very good for us. The Bites are starting to chunk though, so I'm really hoping that the Frenzy Plant could do enough damage to send it back to the Distortion World, and it looks as though my opponent lagged a little bit, but they did reach the crunch, so in the end it didn't really matter that much. We're just going to look to Vine Whip all the way down, and we leave with the Earthquake, so that energy that we built up on Magcargo isn't really necessary. Earthquake will be one-shotting here. Boom! Takes out the Kanto Santa Hat Raichu, and that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Very well played. As you can see, we went 4-1 in this set, and we do have basically a whole other set. I did lose footage of one of the battles, so unfortunately I will not be showing that one. We did lose it. We went 4-1 in this next set, and we'll start it off here with a lead against Melmetal. This is a good lead, but it's a dangerous lead because Melmetal still hits for super effective damage. Both Rock Slide and Superpower are super effective, so we're going to actually swap into Venusaur now that Melmetal's nice and low, and Umbreon comes in. Now, if Umbreon wants to put up a fight, it's going to have to eat a Frenzy Plant or two. And as you can see, Frenzy Plant actually does some very solid damage, despite being neutral. That's the power of Frenzy Plant. and that's why I run double Frenzy Plant users, is because I either want to do big damage or force those shields. We're actually able to reach another Frenzy Plant, so this Umbreon almost gets taken out, and we get a couple Vine Whips in before they throw their next foul play, which is very nice. Now an opposing Venusaur comes in, and I have a Sludge Bomb ready because we are so far ahead on energy, and Sludge Bomb connects for some solid damage. Now, the Venusaur is going to throw probably the Sludge Bomb to take me out, so I'm going to let Venusaur go down and let Magcargo take it from here. My opponent tries to snipe with the Melmetal, but I'm quick enough to catch the Rock Slide onto Meganium, and that should seal the deal. My opponent surrenders, and that's a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Hopping into our second bonus battle, we pick up a lead against Walrein. This is very dangerous because depending on the shielding scenario, it's not even a close matchup. Either Magcargo wins unscathed or Walrein wins unscathed. Luckily though, my opponent goes straight Icicle Spear, which allows me to safely go for the Stone Edge and potentially get a shield, and my opponent does decide to commit a shield right there. So we're going to stay in the matchup here. My opponent tries to go into Whiscash. I bank a move onto Magcargo, and at this rate, I should be able to get to the Frenzy Plant on the CMP of Whiscash reaching the Blizzard. So I go for the Frenzy Plant, my opponent shields, and this is to tell that my opponent is probably at the Blizzard. So I'm going to shield, and it is the Blizzard, which is very nice. And at this rate, I'm just going to look to farm all the way down. If I'm short on the farm down, I could just shield again. I'll bring it to the 0 shields. Whatever I need to do to win switch, I'll do it. So, yeah, we're shieldless. My opponent's shieldless. I expect the Walrein to come in, but they actually come in with a Venusaur. And unfortunately, we blind throw the Frenzy Plant. So, I'm going to have to build to the Earthquake, which we successfully do before the Venusaur decides to throw the Sludge Bomb. Earthquake is going to connect for big damage, and it almost takes out the Venusaur. So, at this rate, I'm going to let the Venusaur take me out with a Sludge Bomb and come in with my own Venusaur. My opponent tries to snipe with Walrein, but I'm able to catch the Icicle Spear onto the Magcargo. We should survive this because it's resisted, and we're able to get off the Stone Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare your headphones. Boom! Stone Edge connects, takes out the Walrein, and one Incinerate is enough to take care of the Venusaur. So that's a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Hopping into bonus battle number 3, and we pick up a lead against Scizor. Beautiful lead. My opponent safe switches at Water Gun Lapras, and I'm a little bit slow to the swap because I figured it would be running Ice Shard. Turns out it's not. It's running Water Gun. Realized it a little bit too late, and then I swap in Venusaur. The unfortunate thing about swapping in late is that Lapras is going to outpace me to the Surfs, so I go for the Frenzy Plant, but unfortunately I will not be able to reach this next Frenzy Plant in time. So I'm going to look to let this go through. Surf will not KO here. Because they're running Water Gun, they should not be able to farm me down before I get to 2 Frenzy Plants. It looks like I get to the back-to-back, so I'm going to go for the first Frenzy Plant to get the second shield. So now my opponent's shieldless. I try to go for the second Frenzy Plant, but I'm unable to because an invisible Water Gun sneaks through. So I come in with Meganium, I farm down, and in comes Scizor. Now, Scizor should be at a move right here, but no matter what it is, I'm going to shield it because I safely can do so. And then I'm going to be able to get to the Earthquake. And Earthquake will be doing neutral damage onto the Scizor. Earthquake! Boom! Gets the Scizor fairly low. And Magcargo is able to snipe with an Incinerate. And their third Pokemon is Machamp. Now, usually this is a bit scary, but up a shield and a head on energy, Overheat easily takes care of the Machamp. And that's a good game to my opponent. Very well played. Let's hop into our final battle. Final battle of the day, and we pick up a lead against Shadow Zapdos. Now, you'd think, once again, Flying type, good lead, Rock type coverage, but unfortunately, Shadow Zapdos hits very hard with Thunderbolt, so I have to respect it. Unfortunately, they bait me with the Drill Peck, but I'm able to get to the Stone Edge in time, and this will be getting a shield from my opponent. Incinerates are doing a lot of damage, so I'm actually just going to look to Incinerate down and double shield the Magcargo. So, we shield the Magcargo, it is the Thunderbolt, and in comes Scrafty. Now, I bank the energy that I have on Magcargo and come in with Venusaur, and Venusaur has a very good matchup here against this Scrafty. I reach my first Frenzy Plant, and it gets my opponent's final shield. I'm looking to get to my next Frenzy Plant, and Scrafty is at a move. They interestingly go up for the power-up punch, and I'm looking to get to my Frenzy Plant, but I think they've hit the foul play, so very smart timing with my opponent, recognizing how much energy they had and being able to boost that foul play. We overtap, but we survive the next counter, and we get to the Frenzy Plant, and this should be KOing the Scrafty from this range, and in the back is Cresselia. And now this is really good that I have that energy stored on Magcargo, but I'm actually going to come in with Meganium and look to get ahead on energy on that. So we reach our first Frenzy Plant, and we're going to throw it onto the Cresselia. So Frenzy Plant gets the Cresselia down to about half health, Zapdos comes in, and I snipe with the Magcargo. Stone Edge is ready, and it's going to take out the Zapdos from this range, and Cresselia is all that's left in the back. I try to get to the overheat, but I'm unsuccessful. Cresselia does throw their energy, and it's a future sight, so that's definitely going to take me out. But Meganium is healthy enough to survive any one of Cresselia's moves and safely get to the Frenzy Plant. So that's going to be a good game to my opponent, very well played. And that is it for the battles.